Hello and welcome. You're watching News Now on TV360. I am Annetta Philip. Tragedy was averted in Maiduguri on Wednesday after two suicide bombers were intercepted in the Borno state capital. The suicide bombers had attempted to attack a mosque in the Jadari Polo area, but were sighted by members of the Civilians Joint Task Force. The suicide bombers were then forced to detonate their vests, killing themselves alone. The incident has since been confirmed by the Borno State Police Commissioner Damian Chukwu. He assured that extra security forces have been deployed to the area to restore calm. The Nigerian Senate on Wednesday declared the Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris an enemy of democracy who is unfit for office. The senators reached the resolution after debating on the IG's decision to snub yet another invitation to appear before plenary. Well, this is the third time the IGP is shunning the Senate summon in less than a month. The first time the IGP was invited to appear before the senators, he accompanied President Muhammadu Buhari to Bauchi State. At another date when he was expected to show up, the IGP went to Benin Gwari, Kaduna State on a working visit. After the IGP's absence at the House was confirmed today, the senators slammed Idris for disrespecting the legislature. On to health matters now. There is a looming crisis in Nigeria's health sector as the joint sector unions, JOHESU, has now instructed health workers in states and local government to join the nationwide strike by midnight on Wednesday. Joy Josiah, national chairman of JOHESU, made this known while addressing journalists in Abuja. Josiah said the association and the federal government have been unable to resolve the issues that resulted in the industrial action. JOHESU had announced a nationwide indefinite strike on April 17, citing the government's refusal to meet its demands. The union's demands include upward adjustment of CONHES salary scale, arrears of skipping of 10, employment of additional health professionals, implementation of court judgments, and upward review of retirement age from 60 to 65. Stakeholders in Nigeria's health sector are advocating for the education and training of nurses and midwives in the country to drive improved health outcomes. Stakeholders made the demand at an event to mark the 2018 International Day of the Midwife in Abuja, saying the training will help reduce maternal infant mortality indices in Nigeria.
The International Day of the Midwife, IDM, is a day when midwives across the globe celebrate what they do in ensuring the mothers and their families receive the quality care that they deserve. Since it was first launched by the International Confederation of Midwives, ICM, in 1992, 5th May has been the internationally recognized day for spotlighting the work of midwives. The National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives were not left out as they joined their contemporaries in the world over to celebrate their day with the theme, Midwives, leading the way with quality care.
All over the world, it has been said that about 87% of the reproductive health need of women of childbearing age and their children can be provided by the midwives. Why don't we empower these midwives? Why don't we take them to the dreamland for them to be able to safeguard our future?
The resident representative of the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, in Nigeria, Diane Keita, calls on the government at all levels, together with the development partners, to ensure an enabling environment for midwives to serve for the actualization of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030.
To make this happen, we need to expand midwifery programs, maintaining the highest global standards and promote an enabling environment for midwives to effectively serve the needs of women and their families. On this day, I urge the government at all levels and the development partner to join all of us here in supporting midwives so more women survive and their family and community thrive.
On hand to lend a voice for the empowerment of nurses and midwives is the national chairman, NANNM, Midwives Association, Margaret Akinshola, who insisted that the roles played by midwives in eliminating maternal and child death cannot be overemphasized.
Communities everywhere were best served by letting midwives work together with mothers and their newborns to provide continuity in care as children develop. This is based on research that demonstrates that not only is continuity of care preferred by women, but also that there are profound impacts, including a 24% reduction in preterm births. Evidence has also found that professionally qualified midwives are able to meet 87% of the needs of women and newborns. And that is why we cannot take away what belongs to the highly skilled to the less skilled if we are talking of eradicating maternal and child health in the country.
With concerted efforts from health caregivers and the world at large, it is believed that the maternal and infant mortality would soon be a thing of the past. Adeshawa Odushaga, TV360 Lagos.
The Nigeria Immigration Service (NIS) says it is taking swift action to ensure that Ebola does not enter the country following a fresh outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. NIS spokesperson Sunday James revealed that immigration officials will tighten vigilance at airports and make more use of thermometers to screen passengers. During the 2014 outbreak in West Africa, over 11,000 people died, mainly in Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Ebola also spread to Nigeria when Patrick Sawyer, who was infected with the virus, flew into the country from Liberia. 17 people have so far been confirmed dead in the fresh outbreak of the disease in the Democratic Republic of Congo. From health to politics, a new political coalition was launched on Wednesday in Abuja. The coalition, known as G21, is an alliance of 21 registered political parties with the purpose of wresting the presidency from the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC). Chairman of the coalition, Yakubu Shandam, said the coalition will support the candidates of their choices at the House of Assembly, governorship, and National Assembly elections, for their target is the presidency.
The G21 is a forum of political parties who are like minds, who believe that coming together and use the advantage to benefit from the signage to bring in a new Nigeria in 2019. It's a paramount objective of this alliance we are forming, which is the G21. So what we are doing here practically today is to launch the organization and give it open for other political parties who are willing to be part of these reforms or to be part of this movement, which we believe that it will manifest into 2019 general election.
Our major target and priority is to bring as many political parties as possible to join forces to remove the incumbent, APC. That is just the target. So what we are seeing here does not mean that we are not in alliance with other forces. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. The G21 you are seeing today is more or less interested in working with closely with INEC, other civil society organizations, to make sure that over 120 polling units in Nigeria, 1,000 polling units in Nigeria, we're able to have our presence in every polling unit just to make sure we checkmate rigging in the upcoming election.
The beauty of multi-party democracy is the formation of coalition, coming together various political parties, interest groups, pressure groups, unions, in order to form government where you can carry everybody along. That is the only way you can secure a comfortable win. And that is the reason d'entrée of this G21.
Still on the upcoming Ekiti governorship elections, the Deputy Governor of Ekiti State, Kolakpo Olushola, has emerged as the candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the July 14 governorship election. Olushola, an indigene of Ikire Ekiti in the South Senatorial District of the state, was the preferred candidate of Governor Ayodele Fayose. He polled 1,191 to defeat a former Minister of State for Works, Prince Dayo Adeyeye, in the keenly contested primary. Adeyeye, who is also a former National Publicity Secretary of the PDP Caretaker Committee, scored 770, while 7 votes were voided. The third aspirant and senator representing Ekiti South, Biodu Olujimi, had earlier stepped down for Adeyeye. You're watching News Now on TV360. We'll be back with news in business. Do stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah.
Yes, Oga.
Okay.
Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. When they do business. Hey, Timmy. Ade, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If let's say no get change.
Take it, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Oga, I agreed to pay 200 naira.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry the chair?
Oga.
No, they touch me.
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Hello, welcome to Business News. I am Fidelia Aguncha. The Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, has revealed that the federal government will upgrade the 3,500-kilometer narrow gauge railway lines across the country. The minister said this while undergoing an inspection of some of the infrastructure projects being conducted by the executives across the country. The Minister of Information and Culture said the construction of the standard gauge rail line from Lagos to Kano is one of the flagship projects of this administration, which will transform the economy. He appealed to the contractors to ensure that the December 2018 deadline for the completion of the Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line is met. Senate President Bukola Saraki has assured that the lawmakers will pass a long-delayed bill to overhaul the oil sector by the end of July. The Petroleum Industry Bill PIB, which aims to improve transparency, attract investors, and stimulate growth, has been debated for more than a decade and was broken into sections to help it pass into law. The PIB was discussed for some 17 years before the governance bill was passed by both houses of parliament in January. That unprecedented move following the decision to break up the bulky PIB into smaller bills raised hopes that the other pieces of legislation could be passed soon after. Saraki said in an interview that the aim was to ensure all three remaining parts of the legislation were passed by the National Assembly before it went on holiday in July. Oil prices rose more than 3% on Wednesday to over 3-year highs after U.S. President Donald Trump abandoned a nuclear deal with Iran and announced the highest level of sanctions against the OPEC member. Brent crude oil touched its highest since November 2014 at $77.20 a barrel, while U.S. light crude was up by 2.5 cents at $70.76 a barrel. Iran re-emerged as a major oil exporter in 2016 after international sanctions against it were lifted in return for curbs on its nuclear program, with its April export standing above 2.6 million barrels per day. That made Iran the third biggest exporter of crude within the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, behind Saudi Arabia and Iraq. Walking away from the deal means the United States will likely reimpose sanctions against Iran after 180 days, unless some other agreement is reached before then. The Nigerian equities market closed the midweek sales in the negative territory, making this its third consecutive day in the reds. With a 0.18% decline in the all-share index, the market capitalization closed at 14.880 trillion naira. Recording the most gains were Nestle, Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, Dangote Cement, Nascon Allied Industry, and Guinness, leading the advancers table. Now on the flip side, Unilever, Nigerian Brewers, Chemical and Allied Products, Guarantee Trust Bank, and UAC Nigeria recorded the most loss in today's market. Stocks from Guarantee Trust Bank fell in the top traders chart again today, but this time it took the lead and was followed by Fidelity Bank, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, UBA, and Zenith Bank. However, on the activity chart, the overall volume of shares traded was significant, with over 9.325 billion naira worth of shares recorded. Well, that is on Business News. News Now continues after the break. Do stay with us.
100,000 people to get only 10 people to register to vote, 10 new voters. Each of us standing here today, when you get back home, when you get to your place of work, your school, try and get 10 new people that do not have their PPC to register to vote. We're going to take on our website, onevoice.ng, onevoice.ng. Please go there, give us the information. If you get 10 people to vote, then you're amongst us.
So at least start with your voter's card and begin to use that to bargain about the type of person you want to see on February 16, 2019 and March 2nd on the ballot paper.
So we want to focus on people who haven't voted before. It's 100,000 people we're looking to pledge that, because that gives us a minimum of 1 million new voters.
Instead of to say, oh, my vote no go count now, try vote first, then you see whether it will count, you know.
On to news on the international scene. North Korea has freed 3 U.S. citizens from prison, according to a tweet from U.S. President Donald Trump. It is viewed as a goodwill gesture ahead of a historic summit between Mr. Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Trump said he would greet the men when they return with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has been in Pyongyang to arrange the planned talk. Kim Hak-song, Tony Kim, and Kim Dong-chu were able to walk on the plane without assistance, the White House said. They had been in jail for anti-state activities and placed in labor camp. The United Nations Refugee Agency is resuming evacuation of migrants from Libya with a flight of 132, mostly Eritrean refugees and asylum seekers, to Niger for resettlement in developing countries. The group left Tripoli's Mitiga airport late on Tuesday, but the plane had a technical problem and had to turn back. They were due to depart again late on Wednesday. UNHCR previously evacuated about 1,020 refugees and asylum seekers to Niger, but the process had been suspended from late February because of delays in resettling them in Western countries. And in sports, coach Chris Danjuma has named 35 players in his provisional squad for the 2018 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup in France. The Falconets will be making their 9th appearance at the biennial International Women's Youth Football Showpiece and have been drawn in the Group D alongside Haiti, China, and Germany. Joint top scorer during the qualifiers, Rashidat Ajibade, made the court for the first phase of preparations for the tournament, which commences in August. Nigeria will be hoping to win their first World Cup title after losing to Germany in the 2010 and 2014 editions. Africa's biggest rugby tournament, the Rugby Africa Gold Cup, now has a new trophy. The new trophy, which stands at 47 centimeters, will be presented to the winner of this season's Rugby Africa Gold Cup after the tournament final on August 18 in Kampala, Uganda. The new trophy was presented to journalists in Brussels by key stakeholders in Rugby Africa, including the chairman, Abdelaziz Boja.
Standing at a height of 18.5 inches, and a weight of 3.3 kilograms, this new shiny trophy represents the biggest achievement in African rugby. The trophy, which was handmade by Great Britain's Swatkins, will be presented to the winner of the Rugby Africa Gold Cup in August. It is making its first appearance at this unveiling ceremony in Brussels, Belgium. Rugby is a fast-growing sport in Africa. In 2002, only 6 African countries were playing the game, and now Rugby Africa boasts of 38 countries. Out of 105 countries playing rugby competitively, 1/3 are African countries. Abdelaziz Boja, chairman of Rugby Africa, believes this new trophy will aid the growth of the sport on the continent.
A great honor for African rugby to be here at the APS Congress, annual Congress. We have a new also partnership with the APO since 2 years now, and we saw in terms of communication growing the knowledge of the people in Africa. We take this opportunity also to bring the trophy with APO, to present it to APS.
Africa rugby is also something that represents a culture, a tradition, And so together we will push the development of this sport in this important continent, but in the same time we will put a bridge between us and more journalists around the continent and around the world. And I think that with uphold Group we can make a very good job.
This is definitely a unique bridge between a leader in media relations and of course a continental leader in sports journalism. And with uphold Group and AIPS Africa, we are looking at a united front designed to give new dream to the burgeoning youths in the continent who have always admired rugby, a game for all and a game that really needs plenty of passion.
The Rugby Africa Gold Cup will kick off in Windhoek, Namibia on June 16. The summer tournament from June 16 to August 18 will bring together an impressive lineup of rugby players. The champion will depart for Japan to compete against the very best rugby teams at the 2019 Rugby World Cup.
Manuel Neuer admits to being uncertain as to whether he will make Germany's World Cup squad as he waits on a return to action at Bayern Munich. Having formed part of a squad which swept to a global glory in 2014, the 32-year-old is hoping to help defend that crown in Russia. Neuer has, however, been out of action since September, with niggling foot complaints keeping him on the sidelines. He has been back in training since early April, but is yet to come back into the Bayern side. That's it on News Now. You can watch some of our other programs on our website at www.tv360 Nigeria. Do watch us on Facebook at facebook.com/TV360online. You can also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TV360 Nigeria. We're also live on YouTube at youtube.com/TV360 Nigeria and also on Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. I am Annette Felix. Thank you for watching.